a bit about where grade 7-8 children are at, and then what kind of a curriculum meets the children of that age group. Welcome, Merwan.
Thank you. Before I talk to you specifically about grades 7 and 8, I think I should tell you a little something about the nature, the underlying nature of the entire Waldorf curriculum. Waldorf education differs from other forms of education in many ways, but one to which I'd like to draw your attention today is contained in this quote from Rudolf Steiner. And sometimes it's a little hard to understand, but I'll try to elucidate what he's saying here. According to most educational theories, we should teach children in such a way that when they are grown up, they can continue what they have learned in school about plants, animals, and so on, so that they can become scientists or take up vocations coming out of those lessons. He says, however, when we are teaching the children about plants and animals and so on in our lessons, we could hardly imagine a greater mistake in our method of education than to treat the subject as an introduction into the studies which would be required to enable the child to become a botanist or a zoologist or whatever. The fact is that no one should become a botanist or zoologist or whatever through what she or he learns in grade school. That they come to a vocation, that she comes to a vocation in life, she can only come to through her special gifts, which are revealed through her choice of vocation, in which would be sure to appear during her life if she had the right type of education, a true art of education. Our aim should not be to educate future botanists or zoologists, but to educate growing, developing, becoming human beings who then out of themselves find their direction and purpose in life. One of the major findings of a recent large-scale study of Waldorf graduates found, one of their major findings was this, that they report and their employers report that these graduates are directed by what they call an inner moral compass, leading them to purposeful lives. That they love what they're doing and they do it well. So if that were our purpose, to help educate people to become self-actuating in their own lives, how could our teaching help bring this about? This is what Steiner's talking about. And his answer and our answer is this, that the subjects we teach would have to be chosen. And the way that we teach those subjects would have to be orchestrated as a means to that end, and not an end in themselves. What we teach and the way we teach should help a child create him or herself as a human being. I'm going to give you one early example of what I'm trying to say. That is in the teaching of science. The teaching of science would have to begin with the experience of the phenomena themselves, not with explanations of them. The teacher would then guide the students with questions that would encourage them to find appropriate answers out of themselves. training this ability to find the answers within themselves. Science then would also naturally build a relationship between the human being and the world. The students would gain the realization that truth is acquired through questioning, reasoning, and understanding, rather than by memorizing facts. Students educated this way would have the skills necessary to meet and investigate new situations they encounter in all aspects of their lives. And specifically, by learning to investigate basic phenomena directly, students would gain the confidence to face the uncertainty and confusion of adolescence. So, if that were our aim, to teach children how to become human beings who can give direction to their own lives, how would we go about that? What would we have to do? How would we choose the subjects that we would teach them? How would we figure out how we would present those subjects? Well, it seems obvious to me that the first thing we would have to understand is what is the nature of the human being that we're talking about. We would have to understand as deeply as possible the stages through which the human being goes on her way to becoming a self-directed adult. If we knew that, we could design a curriculum and the approaches needed to present the curriculum which would guide and support the child's human development towards that end that I'm talking about. So, if we were right now to decide we're going to design a 7th and an 8th grade curriculum, the first thing we would have to do is to understand what a 7th and 8th grader is. Are there things that we can say that are by and large true of all 7th and 8th graders? Well, through my years of experience, and from the help of colleagues and from indications of Rudolf Steiner, I think we can build up a general picture of what these 12 to 14-year-olds are really like, what their real nature is. This phase is first of all characterized by the symptoms, by a range of symptoms we label puberty. Physically, they undergo a second change of shape, often growing gangly, taller, as their limbs become to predominate. But their inner shape is also changing. The visible physiological changes and rapid growth are accompanied by psychological upheaval, at least as disorienting, or possibly more so. In both realms, the child often loses whatever balance and equilibrium he or she has acquired during the heart of childhood, the younger years. And the child begins to form a new relationship with the world. Before, habit and upbringing will have governed their behavior more than their own choices and inclinations. Now attitudes and habits are lost or become ambivalent. Now their soul life erupts into the world around them. They have a strong urge to take hold of, even conquer the world around them. We talk about revolution. We say they become revolting. They start revolting. Teachers and parents come up against limits of their abilities to directly influence their children. Something not often recognized is that often the sheer force of the children's inner tumult shocks those around them so much that we forget that the children are equally shocked. And on the other hand, their inner life becomes more introspective and self-centered. So outwardly like this and inwardly like this at the same time.